What's up, everyone? Kriddle here, and I want to talk about my bunny build. I've got a lot of people that, come in the stream. They're like, hey, show me your bunny build. What do you have? It seems to be pretty good. This is not going to be, the most damage or the best bunny build ever. I know there's tons of bunny builds out there, but I wanted to go ahead and share it with you all. So hopefully, if you are curious about my build or how I'm playing the game, I really enjoy it this way, and maybe it'll work for you. So let's jump right into it. Let's take a look at what we have. I am using the Thunder Cage. I don't always use this. I use my bunny build a lot to actually level up a bunch of other weapons. So I don't always have the Thunder Cage equipped, but this would be my go-to choice if I'm trying to do something more difficult. I do have this Thunder Cage. I need to re-roll some stuff on it, but currently that would be my go-to weapon. As far as any other weapons, you don't really need any. And then over here for your reactor, I would recommend trying to go get a gold Thunder Cage reactor that is the Tingling Singularity reactor. I have one that's assault rifle. I was actually leveling assault rifle recently, so I was using this one, and I wanted to get the increased skill range on there, and I wanted to get the electric or singular power boost on there. The electric one seemed to give me a little bit more damage than the singular one I got, and I think it's just because I got a little bit higher of a roll, but you can get whichever one that works for you. But then I would, like I said, recommend getting the one that is for a Thunder Cage specifically, and you can go look up how to do that each week and on the weeklies and all that fun jazz. As for my components over here, we do have the entire Supernova set. I do like to use this. Some people say that they don't really like it, some do, so it just depends on your preference, but I do like this set. I think that the 4-piece set actually does make a difference. First of all, it adds 12% to my fusion power damage, which doesn't really do a whole lot for her because you're doing singular. It will do a little bit more for her ultimate ability here, but it doesn't do a whole lot for her running around, which is what you mainly use her for. But it does give you that extra bonus damage when you electrocute something. You have 100% skill power modifier damage, whatever, that you're going to be doing that damage, and it basically sends down a bolt of lightning in that area. So when you're doing something like mass swarms of enemies, you might hit 3 enemies because, and I'll show you why in here in a minute because I'm using high voltage, but you might only hit 3 enemies, but then it's going to do lightning bolts down on those that location, so you might hit more enemies after that. That's the reason I use it. I feel like it works for me. You might want to try it out and see if it works for you. So that is what I'm doing with these. Of course, you can't really change the main stat on these, so we have double max shield and we have double defense on here. This one I did roll double defense with electric resistance to get a little bit more electric resist and more defense. This one we rolled the toxic resist on there, which I do like to have the different resist, and then you can get whatever you want for the other ability there. Here, I do recommend trying to get MP recovery in combat. You don't necessarily have to have this, but I like to have it because I like to be able to get my MP back while I'm running around. And then here I did want to get the extra HP, and I have the fire resist. So the only thing that I would say here, cold resist might be nice, which is what I would probably prefer to be on there, but I did get the gold combat recovery, so that's what I went with. But if I had cold resist on there, I would probably go for that. So I have a little bit of resist and I have a little bit of defense because my HP pool is a little bit lower than I would like it to be, but that's because there are no HP main stat mods on any of the components. So anyway, that's the gear. Over here on the Descendant side, it is fully leveled up and everything. These first two I don't need to catalyze because I actually get exactly 80 out of 80 the way that I built it here, so I don't have to worry about catalyzing these. You could catalyze this and get an extra 5 out of that, and you can catalyze this and gain an extra 2 out of that. I believe it's 2, it might be 3 if you catalyze this one down and takes, because you get half or whatever. So it depends if you want to do that or not. I chose not to because everything fit in that I wanted to do, fully maxed out. So we do have the nimble fingers for the cooldown. The reason you need nimble fingers, and I also have another one for cooldown, I think. Maybe not. I don't remember. Frugal mindset does not. Nope. Just the nimble fingers for cooldown. The reason you have to have the nimble fingers, and then you also have to have the skill extension on here for that 36% skill extension. The reason for that is because of this maximize power. I did put this one in, even though it increases my cooldown by 50%, but it does allow me to have the 26-second cooldown and a 27.3-second duration, so I can have 100% uptime on lightning emission and still getting that maximum base damage. So you could go a little bit more crit damage if you want to, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But then we put in focus on electric, and that gives me more electric damage and a little bit more cooldown. Plus we have the other one wherever it went to. No, I don't have the other one. I thought I had focus on singular in here. I do not. So anyway, you do want to put those in there to get that maximum there. That's right. We don't have the focus on singular because of this. So you could do maximum power, or you could do focus on singular. If you do focus on singular, it lowers your cooldown a little bit more, but it only gives you, I think 60 something percent. It's the same as this one right here, 70 something percent, whatever it is. So you miss out on about 30%, 20 or 30% skill power modifier there. So I would prefer to have that over the singular, which is, if we can find it, we'll type it in here. Focus on singular, or focus on fusion. No, focus on singular. Yeah, I don't even have it leveled up. So if I were to level that up, I don't remember what it gets up to. It's probably the same as focus on fusion. So 68% versus this one, which is at 96%. So that's going to be your difference in those two. This one's going to give you extra cooldown, and this one's going to give you less cooldown. So depends on which way we want to go with that. I've beaten a dead horse at this point, so let's continue on. I do put in the expansion. So we have the skill expansion here, and then we also have the skill expansion here. And then I think we have a little bit of skill expansion here with Frugal Mindset. Now, that gives us 166% increase from that. And then if you remember, I had it also on my reactor here, another 17.5%, which does add into that. So you're up to like 180 whatever. Now this number right here, even though this says it can go to 300 max range, that only means you can add 200 to it. So if you get over 200 right here on this value, you're actually wasting that space. So don't get over 200 on this value. That includes your reactor here. So be very careful not to do that. High voltage is the main bread and butter of this build. You don't have to have high voltage. If you don't do high voltage, you're going to be doing significantly less damage, and it reduces the range. So if you look at my range here, you can see that my range is actually 25.5 meters, which is very, very big. I think you can get it up to 30 meters or pretty close to that if you decided to maximize that range. And then I put in the skill concentration for extra crit damage and skill insight for extra crit hit. What you could do if you wanted to, if you want to have more crit damage and more crit chance, you could take out the nimble fingers, take out the maximize power. You could put in the whichever one it was, the focus on singular, which would lower your cooldown a little bit. I think you might also be able to take out the skill extension at that point, and you would be able to even out your cooldown and your duration. And then once you take all of those out, you would and put in the focus on fusion. You would also put in the emergency measures here if you wanted to. That would give you more crit rate and more crit damage. And front lines, you could put that in as well for, again, more crit rate and more crit damage. That would basically give you 96% approximately more crit rate and more crit damage. So you would be able to do significantly more crits, but you would do less overall base damage. So I chose to increase my base damage and lower my crit chance and crit damage, or you could make that gap a little bit bigger if you wanted to, so that your crit damage and your crit chance is way up here, but your base damage would be a little bit lower. This works for me because most of the time I'm doing this as a farm to kill as many enemies as I can as quickly as possible. And I use this, for AoE farming. I don't really use it for bossing. If I wanted to use it for bossing, I would probably add in a little bit more damage, and I would take out a little bit of the skill expansion, probably amplify control. I'd take that one out, and I would probably take out nimble fingers. I would probably lower or take this out, and then go with that higher crit damage and lower the range a little bit, because you don't need the range if you're going to go do bosses. So that would increase the damage. But again, this amount of damage that I'm doing is around 300 or 400k normal hits, and then upwards of 800,000 crit hits, depending on the resistance of the enemy. Sometimes it's 600, sometimes it's 800. It's anywhere in that range. So yeah, this works out really well for me and gets the job done very, very quickly, even though I only have about 5,000 health. I don't die too often. You just got to be careful with that range. I'm usually killing things before they kill me. So anyway, that is my build. Hopefully you like it. If you do, please like, subscribe, follow, all that kind of stuff, and come on over to my Twitch stream, say hello, get some games in with me, and we'll be doing some more builds soon. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.